All right, hello and welcome to Terminal House Media. I'm the operator, and we are picking up exactly from where we left off yesterday, reading documentation, and we went through the introduction, the provisioning process, network planning, which was pretty interesting to me because knowing the default networks is actually pretty helpful to understand the topology if you're going into an environment and you don't know what you're looking for, if they're following the baseline configuration or standard procedures. According to Warewulf, this is the network infrastructure you'll see. And then I went from networking into server installation, which is pretty straightforward, depending on what your distribution is or how you're running Warewulf. Depends on how you will install it. I'm running on Rocky Linux. Actually, that's Rocky Linux 10 that I'm running on, but it still worked. Doing this DNF installation, and then you just go down and you enable the services, but also ensure that I believe the firewall rules are implemented, and that may be in the next section. Anyways, so what we're at was, or the section that we're on is Controlling Warewulf, and so that's where we're gonna pick up where we left off. Just a second, I'm trying to fix my screen. Here we go. Okay, so Warewulf's command line, and just to let you know what I'm working with here is, oh, something went wrong. Reload page. Okay, cool. So here is my topology and XCali draw, and I'm not going to go over this too long because I went over it last night. But this is my host that's hosting Proxmox, my worker nodes, ML Linux, which has my GitHub capabilities on it, and then my management server. I limited the amount of virtual machines that's going to be hosted on my Proxmox host, so I am not killing resources just by having redundant machines. I'd rather just have a couple big VMs. I don't know, whatever. We'll figure out how it goes, and if I have to split out services to some more VMs, then we'll do that. But for now, this is what I'm working with. And then, so Controlling Warewulf, we're going to be doing that from the control node, which would be management 0. That's what we're going to be using to control everything with wwctl. So do wwctl. Let's make that red. wwctl. Actually, let's make that black. All right, so moving on from XCali draw, we have, well, that's GitHub, where Almabrain is hosting that. But here is our Proxmox environment. And we got Almabrain and our management server, and I have Visual Studio Code. That I can use to SSH into my management server, which is going to be 192.168.1.19. So, and I'm going to do that as the user admin. So I'm going to do SSH admin at 192.168.1.19. And input my password. Have to think of all these passwords, man. Oh, try again. Cool. Now I'm in. And I'm going to elevate to root using sudo. And do sudo su hyphen. That way I can get the shell. Clear my terminal using the clear command. And now I'm going to show you wwctl using the tool wwctl --help, because it comes with the help tab. So you can clean, configure, help, image, operating system, image management, node management, overlay, Warewulf, overlay management, power, Warewulf, node power management, profile, node configuration, profile management, server, start Warewulf server. And then SSH into configured nodes in parallel. Let's see. SSH. Oh, I guess that would be wwctl SSH into nodes parallel. So SSH into worker node 01 and worker node 02 parallel. I can do that. Permanently added to the list of known hosts. Line 1, worker node 2, command not found. Command not found. I guess that didn't work, so never mind. I gotta look up how to do that. And then let's see, upgrade configuration files. wwctl upgrade configuration files, wwctl version information. So those are the available commands. We got the options. So let's go. Excuse me, the coughing. All right, so we'll go back over to our documentation, and we are on Warewulf's command line interfaces based primarily around the wwctl command. We're reading through Controlling Warewulf, and you can use Warewulf configure. That's going to configure Warewulf server and its external services. The node manages nodes in the cluster. This is basically what we just read with the --help, power, SSH, and look at there, all these subcommands and their respective subcommands have built in with their either wwctl help or --help. Many of the commands support a host list syntax for referring to multiple nodes at once. Yep. And then node status. Oh. So I guess that would have been, let's go back to Visual Studio Code, try my SSH command, and do worker node 01 through 02. Requires at least 2 arguments, only one was received. Okay. Well, we're going to ask Claude how to use wwctl SSH. All right, here we go, Claude. Control V, enter. How to use wwctl for SSH. Oof. I need to edit that prompt. Just say use SSH into multiple nodes, but whatever. Needs a pattern and a command. That's the missing second argument. So Some of these things are a little bit redundant because this follows the same syntax as what's that? So what's it called? Clush. So that's very similar. Clush is clush -w worker node 01 through 03, and I want them to reboot now. So what if I did uptime? Yeah, it works the same way. So if I did wwctl ssh, interesting. A little bit more output. Oh, and that's because it's adding worker node 03 to the list of known hosts. All right. I don't know. I guess maybe they offer different. I don't know. That was some things seem a little redundant. Okay, so we got node status during the whole provisioning. Yes, we went through that last night. That was pretty cool. We can just try that again just for practice. Doing the node status, doing a reboot and watching it. So I'm gonna do a clear wwctl reboot. Actually, node. Actually, what I'm gonna do is wwctl ssh worker node. I can use clush actually, so I'm gonna try using clush -w worker node square bracket 01 through 03, and I want them to reboot, and as they reboot, I want to get a wwctl node status on worker node 01 through 03, and I'm gonna watch that. Yes, it worked. Oh, the old brain is working. Okay, so we're watching it. It should be rebooting here, and then we'll watch the stages go through the kernel, and then eventually get all the way back up to runtime overlay. Okay, there's the first one, worker node starting, worker node 2, then worker node 3. Cool. And this is wwctl status. All right, so they're all up, so I'm gonna press Q to get out of there. Actually, nope, that didn't work. Control C to get out of there. Clear. All right, back to our documentation reading. A provisioning workflow when I use every stage. Then we got maintenance. wwctl reclaims disk space by removing 2 categories of data that accumulate over time. We haven't done that yet. Let's go ahead and try that. wwctl clean. Interesting. That was easy. Okay. We've already imported image. Okay, next page. wwctl is particularly useful after deleting a large number of nodes or when disk space is limited on the Warewulf server. Note that wwctl clean only removes the current cache location, cache directory, Warewulf. If you are upgrading from 4.5, the Linux cache at data store OCI must be removed manually. All right, cool. Server configuration. Yep, We're in the configuration file earlier. So by default, the Warewulf server configuration file is located in etc Warewulf. So if we bring back up our terminal, we've already modified this. See, clear. Actually, let's just do Control L, and that clears up the terminal as well without typing. And then I'm going to do Control V and CD to etc Warewulf, and then I'll do a semicolon ls-l because I want to list everything within that folder. And you can see that I created backups on the 10th, and then I created another backup on the 10th at 8:21. We just put that in the 24-hour format, and we can read Warewulf conf cat Warewulf conf, and if we scroll up, I kept everything pretty standard, but that's the IP address on the private network for the management node, Warewulf management node, which is 10.0.0.1. And then I put my range in here, and that was about it. Oh, I did add an additional NFS export so that I can practice mounting a NFS shared directory, either using AutoFS or the FS tab. Okay, so let's see. Now I can clear my terminal, and we're back to our documentation, initial package. Okay, we've run wwctl configured all when it's been back up. This is all just pretty much review. Okay, Warewulf 192.168.1. Okay, so Warewulf Port. This is the port that Warewulf web server will be listening on. It is recommended not to change this, so there is no misalignment with node's expectations of how to contact the Warewulf service. Interesting. So let's cat that again. And let's look at the port. Warewulf Port 9873. I wonder. Let's see. So let's go to Alabrain. I'm gonna look at hardware and going to network devices. It's only on virtual management bridge 0. If I go to xcalidraw, I want it to be on 0 and 1. So I'm going to go back over to Proxmox web UI, and I'm on hardware, network device, clicking on edit, and actually I'm going to exit out of there. I'm going to go to add and add a network device and put that on virtual management bridge 1. So now if I go into the management console, which I can just actually go into Alabrain. I forget what Alabrain's IP address is. Get out of my way. System updates. Oh, never mind. I guess don't get out of my way. Did you already do them? I'm not ready for that. Okay, so IPA grep inet. All right, 21 nmtui. The font's pretty big, so I'm just going to do this here in this interface. Edit a connection. Whoa. hardware, virtual management bridge, 1.0, net 0, console. Let's just sudo su reboot now. Let's see if that network device comes up. I want to see if I can reach Warewulf through the port. Dang, this is slow. I mean, these stateless servers come up faster than this. I guess that makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're just loading images, but Jesus, that's a difference right there. Anyways, I'm not gonna get sidetracked at the weave. I don't want to weave too much. Okay. All right, cool. So now we got the two networks. Oh my goodness. Oh, let's activate a connection. Okay. Let's use an CLI device list device. Okay. nmtui device connect ENS 19. nmtui edit connection 19. It's on automatic. Let's make that static. So we've got I didn't remember the IP addresses of these machines. 10, probably 11 and 12. So, and this is 19. But what is your private network IP? If config, that's 1. So we got 1, 11, 12, 13, 11, 10, 11, 12. So you shall be 13. And we're going to manual show address 10 of 10. Oh, what is it? Oh boy, 0, 0, 1, 10, 10. My gateway is going to be 10.0.0.1. And search domains. Sure. 8.8.8.8. No, that doesn't matter. All right, so oh, there we go. Remove and okay. Back, activate a connection. It's 19. Taking a long time to activate. What is it? 10001. Yep. Oh, 13. Changing the IP address, I couldn't activate. There we go. Had a conflicting IP address. There was already something on that network with the 10. Okay, so now, clear. I'm going to pull up the browser. And I'm going to go to http://10.00.1 colon and back to our documentation on port. Actually, it's not even in our documentation. It's going to be in our config file. So, Hornets Nest management. Actually, I'm just going to do this from Visual Studio Code. Sorry if this is too much flashing on your eyes. We've got 9873 or 9874. Secure is false, so we're going to do 9873. Page not found. Okay, so server configuration. Now I'm prompting AI to figure out how to get to it with Alma Linux having the web UI. I should be able to actually look and see what this web port looks like. Actually, but what I do need to do is check and see if that port is added to the firewall. Clear firewall -cmd -list -all 9873 ports. No. So firewall cmd -add port equals 98. Jeez. 9873 zone equals public and permanent. I think I'm good. Yep. Add port. TCP. Permanent. Firewall -cmd -reload. And system CTL restart. Warewulf D. And Mm. Yeah, I figured this was what I Oh, wow. So I'm done prompting Claude, I guess, now, but this just turns out to say correct. No web UI. wwctl CLI is the only interface for managing nodes, images, overlays, profiles, etc. Port 9873 is purely a machine-to-machine API that compute nodes use during PXE boot to pull their kernel image and overlay data. There is nothing there for a human to browse. Got it. Warewulf Secure. This limits the Warewulf server to respond to runtime overlay requests originating from a privileged port. This prevents non-root users from requesting the runtime overlay, which may contain sensitive information. When true, www client uses TCP port 987 by default. Changing this option requires rebuilding node overlays and rebooting compute nodes to configure them to use a privileged port. This is important. Controls whether Warewulf secure file controls whether the file's route requires requests to originate from a privileged port. When unset, this inherits from Warewulf secure. Set to false when Warewulf secure is true to allow unprivileged clients, scripts, or services not running as root to fetch files from this route without requiring a privileged source port. Warewulf update interval. This defines the frequency in seconds with which Warewulf client on the compute node fetches overlay updates. Warewulf auto build overlays. I wonder how often. How often does this occur, Claude? Seems a little frequent, 60 seconds, but I don't know about that. All right, Warewulf auto build overlays controls whether per node overlays will automatically be rebuilt when an underlying overlay is changed. Overlay auto build is not 100% reliable, but it is particularly useful for building overlays for new nodes. Overlay auto build is not 100% reliable. It is nodes controls whether the special host overlay is applied to Warewulf server during configuration. The host overlay is used to configure external services. Warewulf grub boot controls whether iPXE default or grub is used as the default bootloader. The DHCP external service can be configured explicitly with wwctl configure DHCP. This rewrites the configuration in the service and restarts the service. You can enable it. An optional DHCP template variable control the generation of DHCP template. Specifying static population DHCP conf with static leases for each host bypassing the DHCP range. Run wwctl configure DHCP to update dhcpd.conf when nodes are added, removed, or changed. That's kind of cool. I might need that for my lab. Alright, so then we got the range start, range end. That's self-explanatory. System D named identifies the system D service that manages the DHCP using during wwctl to restart. TFTP external service can be configured explicitly with wwctl. We got the NFS, so then you got the path, and you've got the export options. So this is YAML. Same things as, what is that? Ansible Playbooks. Yet another markup language. Okay, then we got SSH and the keys and the location of where the keys are located. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Etsy Warewulf keys, copy, go into Visual Studio Code. Actually, we're already in that directory, Etsy Warewulf. Clear my terminal and do an ls-l and grep-i for keys. Cool. And that's a directory. We can tell by looking at the syntax here with the lowercase d and before the r. So then we'll go back to our documentation, continue reading. Image mounts. We've already mounted images. The resolve.conf matters because what's on your management server is going to end up being shared out to your nodes, worker nodes, compute nodes. I don't know how people want to call them. Override paths to images, overlays, and other Warewulf components. Paths, override paths, images, overlays, and other. Okay. So this seems pretty important. Data under parent directory for distribution overlays and BMC templates. want to see if I have the API enabled. SSH. The API is not enabled. So if it was set to true, all right, it's almost 1 in the morning. Let's see, I'm almost done on this page. Yep, that's cool. That is server configuration. Oh, cool. Yeah. I'm almost on server routes. Okay. Host file. There are no explicit host file configuration options in warewulf.conf, but wwctl configure host file updates Warewulf servers etc host file to include expected configuration itself as well as known. You can control login verbosity using Warewulf log level environment variable. The best place to set this is at default Warewulf D, which is sourced by Warewulf D.service. By default, the log level is dub.log.info20 and the messages are logged at either info or serve. Setting the log level to warn 30 should suppress info and serve while it's still surfacing more important issues. To do that, execute the following commands. I am not going to do that because I want to understand what's going on. Server routes. The Warewulf provisioning daemon, Warewulf D, serves all boot and provisioning resources over HTTP. Each resource type has a dedicated route, and nodes are identified by their Warewulf ID. Warewulf ID is typically the node's default MAC address, a colon, separated hexadecimal string, AABBCDEEF. Dashes are accepted in place of colons and are normalized automatically. The port Warewulf D listens on is configured with Warewulf Port, Warewulf conf, default 98.3. When TLS is enabled, a second listener is started on the port configured with Warewulf TLS port. A second listener is started on the port configured with Warewulf TLS port 9874. Interesting. I kind of have questions now. Because if I go back up to server configuration and API, never mind. Okay. So, no, 9873, 9874. That's the web UI, the AI, REST API. The port, listen, and configure default when TLS is enabled. Oh, that is talking about that. What I'm talking about. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting tired. I'm starting getting really tired. I wanted to start this earlier. The goal is to do at least a little bit on here each day, at least an hour. I should have been online like 2 or 3 hours ago, but I was kind of caught up actually studying. I got to study for work, so on my stream a little bit behind versus what I'm actually reading for work. So eventually we'll all get caught up to the same spot here on the stream, but I'm going a little bit slower here. Okay, so I guess what we're gonna do, I'm gonna leave off on URL patterns, and let's see. I mean, for the most part, I've got Warewulf configured. It's already 102. I'm already past the threshold, and let's do this. I'm just giving something to watch on the screen real quick because I got to do some research. Okay, cool. You guys can't see that. And now what I want to do is look at my bullet points for my study notes. Cool. Okay, so using Ansible to configure a Warewulf image. On compute images, use one of the methods above to add working node configurations for OPEG drivers. Now, Lustre. So install Warewulf. Download Warewulf. I'm just looking over my notes in the background while this ping just goes across the screen. Let's see. Download a Warewulf image. Already done that. Modify Warewulf image. And use Ansible to configure a Warewulf. Here we go. Let's just do this. This is easy. Oops. Going back up to Visual Studio Code, clear, and the image I'm going to modify is RHCSA10 lab, and yeah, let's see, caps, vim, yep. So there's no vim, so I'll just add that DNF install vim. So we're learning how to modify an image that's in a profile using image execute. So we are chrooted into the environment. Now this is dual networked, which is why I can actually get out and download. Well, this is kind of cool. Okay, so then I'm gonna exit out of there, and it's building the image. Cool. We just modified a Warewulf image with the exec method, using the exec method. Oops. Just a second. Oops. I wonder if I look at the config file, clear, oops, cat Warewulf conf. Yeah, this is YAML. This is a Ansible file. I think that's what they mean. So go back to Claude. So this is just showing me the command. Okay, I'm understanding a bit more of what I need to do. Sorry for the long bit of silence, but I'm going to go ahead and end the live here. And so to sum up what it is that I need to do, I need to connect my high-speed interconnect, which I don't have, so I don't really know how to replicate that within Proxmox. But that's the next, I think, piece of information I need to read over. So unfortunately, I didn't get to the point of reading about Slurm yet. But let's just go ahead and pull up the documentation about Slurm and read through some of that. Actually, scratch that. I'm just going to end it here. So thank you all for watching, listening, studying with me. Actually, to be honest with you, there were no concurrent viewers. But if you watch this afterwards, have a good night. Thanks for everything. Bye.